Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Ferris Makes Demos. This is a loop study. So this weekend, like many other weekends with doing the demo scene stream, I had no idea what I was going to do until like 20 minutes ago. And I was looking through just some basic websites that I like to look for inspiration, like Vimeo. I get a big stash of stuff there. And in particular, Bees and Bombs was one of the things I looked at. Check this out. A few pages in, 10 pages in to be exact. In fact, I'll link this. Actually, I should link this in particular. I saw this like looping cube animation thing, and I really like this. I think this is pretty cool. Generally, I really like looping animations like this, but I find them generally kind of tedious to make. But I want to get better at them, so I thought I could try to make something like this today. In particular, something like exactly like this, except perhaps the shading and colors. But I want to start with that. First, I'm going to link this proper. Bam. By the way, hi to guys in the chat. Skeleton, Localhoster, Zokwar, Tomix, Norm, Tomko. How's it going, guys? Actually, Norm, that's a name I haven't seen in a while. Good to see you, man. Hey, Dana Colin. I actually spent my weekend optimizing assembler. Like the entire weekend, and I was doing it up until about a half an hour ago. That was pretty fun. And I can't wait till Solskugin, because then I can show you what all that's for. Anyway. One of the things I did not get a chance to do before the stream starts was actually create the project files for the demo tool. So I need to do that now. I'm basically just copying out one of the existing projects. Because we don't have any proper project management in the tool yet. And that's fine. So usually I just take one of these other projects and I just copy it here. And rename stuff, and that's all I do. Oh, by the way, music. I recently discovered an artist. Lolica Tonica is the most American way I can say that ever. Japanese artist, some future-based stuff, and I really, really like this. So I'm going to listen to that while coding. And be careful not to actually accidentally stream the music. So yeah. Yeah, need to start up my Rocket editor. Oh, by the way, also, it has been really warm in Oslo these days. So if I start looking really specular, just don't worry about it. I got all my windows closed and stuff for sound, so if I burst into flames, then that's why. There's our Rocket editor. Cool. Okay, so just going to open this up. I'm pretty sure this is clean because I don't think I used it last time. So that'll be helpful. Skeleton, how hot in degrees? The forecast says 21 degrees. It feels warmer than that. Yeah, about 22. 34 is not how hot it is. But I think it's more than early or low 20s, but okay. So this is a product I was working on a couple streams ago. Hey, Disused. Oh, that's ridiculously hot, you guys. Do you guys have air conditioning? Because I need it. I'm probably just being a wimp. This is a very expensive tunnel. What did I call this shader here? Flip-flop. Okay, that makes sense. We're going to copy that then. This is going to be, call this loop study. And change this. And there we go. Cool. So that's where I wanted to start. But I want to actually remove a lot of this as well, because we don't actually want anything to show yet. I didn't call in. Yeah, I just got a big fan. But I just turned the music up really loud and it doesn't really matter. Unless I'm on stream, then it's a problem, but yeah. Yeah, it can't be louder than a proper server. Okay. All right, so I actually don't have that much stuff here yet, which is nice. Let's just... I should only need like one material for this. I'm gonna bring this over here. This could be created with just different colored lights if I get that lazy. But I'm not going to really worry about the lighting and colors yet. I just want to get this kind of motion, especially the looping stuff. The way I think I'm going to do it is I'm going to have one center cube that scales down, and I'm going to add in 8 other cubes that'll go around that. And like start tiny and far away and then come in. And just control everything so that after like a certain length of time, which I'll remap to be 0 to 1 and then have that loop, then it'll look self-similar again. I think that's how I'm going to do it. And then add in some rotation and whatever to sort of make this nice. This EU says not 826. Yeah, that's correct. Which may be a problem if I'm going to march all this. So maybe I'll end up doing a slightly different pattern, but we'll see. The easiest thing to do here is just get rid of all this. There's our cube. I'll have to adjust my distance and stuff. Oh yeah, that's why we're looking at the front of it and just not seeing the lights. That makes sense. I think I also have some... Must have some offset here or something. Yeah, that would do it. There we go. Hey, Love Like Some Text. Rep Nop, how's it going? Skeleton, why did you change the windows, by the way, since Emacs seems to be problemsome there and that? Basically because I don't really care that much if I'm not using Emacs. And I wanted to, first of all, play games. So second of all, have a nice Windows box with proper GPU and everything for doing demos. So games and demos mostly, and I don't really care about the editor. I mean, I still prefer Emacs when I have it available, but really not a very big deal to me. What's my field of view? This will be pretty low. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Get a little bit more extreme perspective. Then we'll want to be closer. Hey, Dark Second. Hey, Middle Voids, how's it going? Yeah, I generally use Sublime when I don't really have anything that I would prefer over that available. That's all right. Okay, anyway. Time for the cubes. I also want to do some material tweaks here. I'm going to crank up the roughness a bit just so we can see a little better. Let's make that fully rough and not metallic. Maybe a little less rough. So what I want here, I don't think I want the mouse stuff yet. Or actually, probably do, and I'll just kind of center it. So it should just be a matter of scaling this down with kind of a looping time thing. So we can do something like this. Do large scale is 1. We can do float. Small scale is 0.5, for example. Metal Voids as one fast compiler. Yeah, it's just compiling GPU code, so it's a shader compiler. Let me see some accuracy problems actually. If you notice the edge here. If I just scale everything up, that'll be fixed actually. Let's do that. Because that's going to bug me otherwise. And we'll move farther away for that. And now my light positions are kind of weird, but just do this. Good enough. Hey, Topaz. Yeah, no, that's the fireflies are also like precision errors, where it gets kind of on the edge. And with ray marching, you do this. The way you calculate the normals is you basically sample the distance field in all these different directions, and it's possible that you end up like right on the edge. And instead of getting a normal that would be on either face, it's kind of like somewhere in between. And then the specular bounces off of that, and that's what the artifact is. Sometimes there's also a little bit like of a soft edge here, and that's an artifact of the depth of field sometimes. But that's something else. And I usually just kind of control the parameters until that stuff goes away. Yeah, so what I want this to do is I want this to change scale over time. So I'm going to start with just scaling the cube down over and over again. And so I need time. Yeah, we already have time in here. And we'll do this. And time is, I think we should just be able to do fract time. And this will give us something from 0 to 1. And if we do cube scale is, we'll do mix from the large scale to the small scale using anim time as a parameter. And it should stay the same, but as we play this, we'll see this go over and over again. Seems a bit fast, though. It's a bit strange, actually. Because if time were in seconds, then this should repeat every second. So if it doesn't, I'm a little bit concerned. Speaking of which, okay, no, I am hearing the right music from the editor. But why is this so fast? Too bad. I almost finished my GMB Preference Bars demo. Do you mean GMB as Game Boy? I usually call that DMG, because that's the model, and separates it from GBA and GBC, which is Game Boy Color. Oh, that's cool. I guess there you can write to video memory in H-blank, so you're probably doing it that way. Or you could do the same palette trick that I did in mine. The DMG is actually really nice to code for, I think. So that's cool. I totally want to see that when that works. Or when that's done, I should say. So time here would have been in March prologue. Just takes in time here. Shouldn't be used for anything. And that should come from the tool. I might dig into some tool code here. Should be in here. the audio player's time, which I would have expected would have been in seconds, which is why this works. It's the same time that we get on the context. Yes. Hey, Hakase. Oh, of course I've thought about trying Vulkan, but at least for the demo tool stuff I'm doing, it wouldn't work on Mac, so a bit turned off by that. Hey, John Hunter. I'm really bugged by this. We shouldn't have changed this anywhere. I mean, I could just hack around this. It's not that big of a deal because I can just make this slower, but I really don't like that that's not correct. Metavoids, how are you using OpenGL functions in Rust? I have my own wrapper. I was using GLRS, but for 64K stuff, we need to avoid STD like the plague. So we end up doing our own. And then it's super C-like. Like I can just show you some of that code. In here, for example, like shaders. Yeah, just straight up C code, basically, in unsafe blocks. Not that magical. It was kind of an advantage for me as well because I didn't have to learn any sort of new interface to GL. I could just do what I've been doing for several years. I wouldn't recommend or not recommend that approach. It's just that's what we're doing. And it works just fine. Okay, so this is going to happen here, and then I want to add some of the other cubes as well. So we're going to do a cube here. Like I say, apparently I get motion sick very easily. Yeah, no, this is a little bit disturbing. Whoops. Let's need to rearrange some windows here. Whoa. There, that's nice. I'll just move this down here because it'll just be going through time anyway. So the easiest thing to do here is start just adding the smaller cubes. Can do this, for example. Or center cube scale, I should say. And then we can do something like this, and then this will be increasing based on time. So we can do small scale times the animation time, and we'll get the scale for that. We'll probably want to do some ramps here as well, but we'll figure that out. Then we can do like D is min D and then some outer cubes. I think I'll just add this. Something like that. We can do this. We should see another cube here. However, I need to offset this more. And the scale didn't work probably because of this. This is kind of growing as that shrinks. And the other thing we want to do, of course, is offset this. So Hunter, off topic, what is your opinion on the Super FX chip? I don't know. I've never coded with it. And I don't really plan to because I don't want to rip apart like a Yoshi's Island card to get one. And I'm not going to code against the FPGA and the SC2 SNES. So yeah, I don't really have much of an opinion on it. I mean, the SNES needed those kind of chips in the cartridges because the CPU is just so bad. Like, I actually get really annoyed by the like SNES versus Mega Drive like shit talk because frankly, the Mega Drive is a way better system, at least in terms of like if you want to code on it and make something really impressive from code, you're gonna have so much of an easier time on Mega Drive or Genesis. And the SNES has this really nice video and audio hardware, but you're just so gimped by the CPU. So like, of course, the SNES has these kind of chips to make up for it. But I've never coded on it or for it myself, so I don't really have that much of an opinion on it. But yeah, for doing like demos or something, the Mega Drive is so much of a better machine. Yeah, so now I get the cube kind of moving into that position, which will look a bit nicer. The other thing I'm noticing is that the small size, I don't think it can be half the size. I think it has to be a third. In order for everything to line up properly. With that edge. Yeah, I think that's how it's going to have to be. Nice. Now to simplify this, I think I'm actually going to do this in 2D first. So we'll do, this should be for X and Z, and then we'll do small scale. Something like that. Or, no, I had these wrong. I should do it. Like that. Will be a little easier, I think. Also, these linear motions are terrible, but they'll help us get there. Now, I'm not really sure how I want to do the outer offsets and stuff, because we're basically going to do this in a loop. So, like, something like this, which is a crap way to do it, but it should be fine for now. I don't really want to care too much about how this works while making it happen. Worry about making it fast after we made it. Let's call this C here. And I think that's not what I wanted. Here's what I wanted. I wonder why these got as offset as they did. That's a bit odd. Oh, right, because it's going to be 2 here. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, another little bit to the right, because that, okay, that makes sense. So let's do this. And I think actually what we can do here, we can use FBM for this. These kind of come in like that. And we can do something like this. Honestly, we can just do float I times like a big number. And then we'll get these sort of coming from random directions, which may not be ideal for what we want, but should work fine for testing at least. So if I sit here, let's say I do, yeah, maybe I'll make a table for the different offsets here. Or I could just loop through all the dimensions, because this is all going to be enrolled anyway, and just skip over the middle one. That's probably by far the easiest way to do it. So in that case, this will be X. Plus FX or something. And here. do that. In the olden days, I used to make sure that this was inside this outer loop, but now I trust compilers to do that kind of job for me. Most of the time. I want like a better index for this, so we'll get a random one for all these for sure. So let's do int I is y times 3 plus x. We can do I here. Now, I want this here, and I'll do the same thing here for fy. And now I'll get something like this. Hey, there we go. Already it basically works. Although you can see my FBM has a terrible bias. I think I can actually use noise here, by the way, because I don't actually need the FBM. I just need the noise. And I think the noise is biased pretty well, so I can just do times 2 minus 1 and then get roughly the right distribution. Another thing that we can do here take the anim time, and we can also do float anim iteration equals floor scale time. So we'll take the floor in fact here, and then we can take this iteration and we can put it in another one of these components. And what'll be cool about that is that each time it repeats, we'll get slightly different variations here, which is really nice. Make this a little more different, I think. That's pretty neat. Wouldn't PMod operators Coop style? I would call that Mercury style. Makes sense to repeat instead of looping. Just to make it hard to constrain the number of cubes, or do you need loop indices for other reasons later? Ignore the question, doesn't make much sense. That would be more performant, but this makes it more convenient for me in my head. And especially because we have to special case the middle one. Yeah, I mean it would definitely be faster to do it. I just find this to be easier to think through. So I'm gonna do it this way. This is all gonna get unrolled anyway, so it shouldn't really matter. Let's see. Because I also wanted to, fix the large cube here. So we're just gonna have the center cube scale. And then I want to offset the Y stuff here in addition to the other stuff I did. Oops, let's see, and we need that here. I think also it makes the movements a bit simpler. This way, thinking more about it. We need I to include Z as well, so we get some more randomness there. And it's a bit early for this, but I want to tweak materials a bit. tweak my light colors because I don't really like the two lights that I have currently and their positions as well. Not great, but I like it better for this so far. I also want to move this other light out here a little more so I can kind of see them both from head on. Should be nice for testing this. I think what I want to do here as well is start tweaking these curves. Right now it still feels pretty chunky because everything's just moving linearly, which linear is almost never what you want. But the nice thing is that because we've done everything just by scaling this anim time here, then I can kind of just apply some basic operators to make that non-linear. So a really simple one, for example, is we can do smooth step. And I think you need an edge for that. Maybe you need a couple. You need both edges. So we'll do between 0 and 1. And sort of the cube scale we'll have in the center. We'll sort of have a different curve. I think I'm going to apply this in a couple places just to see where we're at with just that first. Now you can see it's already a bit better because we kind of ramp in and ramp out as we move through time here. Although I want the scale here to not have that kind of curve. I want it to be like some kind of power curve here. Something like 3. Always saturate your POWs. I say to myself all the time. The other thing I want to do here, by the way, is I want to add rotations to these cubes. Something like this. How do we want to apply that? I think we actually need to do it like this if we do that. Yeah, so sort of inverse apply the move here to the position. Something like that. Because then what we can do is we can take this cube P and then apply some like rotations and stuff to it. And that should actually work fairly nicely. I can't remember which ones of these I have here. Okay, I just have rotate X, Y, and Z. I'll just do that. Now this might start to get pretty expensive, but we'll see. And here we actually want times pi. This will be really gimbal lockish, but it'll be fine. There we have rotations. And we get crazy stuff here. Oh yeah, because the offset is being applied after that. Let's do this then. Let's apply that. The offset here as well. And that seems to do more what I expected. Now one of these, I think it's the POW for the motion. A bit too intense. Might also be the rotation. Oh yeah, we want this to actually be 1 minus this. Maybe that's our issue there. We basically want no rotation by the time everything aligns. Yeah, that definitely helps. I also want them to stop rotating when they get pretty close to the center, so we'll do something like that. Make that a bit more smooth. This was actually cooler the other way. And this is why we experiment. It's kind of cool how it kind of, these almost explode off of it and then go away. So I wonder if I can sort of adjust the motion to kind of bring that out. This is why I like just like starting with something that I can kind of rip off, because then you usually find something that's kind of neat and then take it in a different direction. Turn this up a bit. I think actually doing 1.0 minus here was the wrong place to do it. I think I need to do this everywhere it's used instead. To make it a bit easier to think about. Because then our animation still happens between the time 0 and time 1. Which will make it a bit easier to reason about as I change stuff. So one of the things I'm thinking of is that the move can sort of happen like a lot instantly and kind of slow down. So we'll try something like this. I think that'll give us basically the opposite of what I want, but yeah, I think that's, so we can do 1.0 minus here, and then we'll do 1.0 minus here. That'll kind of flip that curve. Pop. Yeah, it's kind of a sort of popping motion, almost like they kind of explode off the thing. I want to adjust that curve a bit. It's also a bit much. I think with this more extreme motion, we need just overall less motion. I'm also seeing most of the motion seems to be pretty well, like we get a lot of it on the diagonal here. That's not ideal. Also gonna start adding in some random numbers here. See if I can get this to be a little more random. Also, that center cube needs to... Yeah, let's see. I want it to kind of almost be delayed. I want the opposite of what I just did. I think the smooth step here sucks. The combination of smooth step and pow, that is. So now it kind of has a bit of a delay in the beginning, and then it comes up and gets big and then pop. I'm also going to normalize one of these directions here, which we'll still probably get a bit more. Actually, that one should be fine. Still probably get a bit of it clumped up at the diagonal, but it should even things out, I think. Just make it look a bit nicer, I hope. Oh, wait a minute. I'm totally... That's why I'm getting those on the diagonal, because I need to do this for the different components. That's why that's happening. I'll just do that here. Yeah, the rotation's doing that too, so we'll need to do a couple of those. What was here? That was the vector. So we can move some of this around here, like that. Just adjust these values. There, that's much nicer in terms of the randomness here. And got a lot slower, of course, but that actually makes sense because now we're doing quite a lot of these per pixel. And I don't really care that it's that expensive for now. Just want to make something that looks cool first. So I may actually lay off the rotation for now. At least not make it worse. The other thing I want to do here, let's go to the beginning of time. And I actually want to turn this down, so we get some kind of extreme DOF stuff, I hope. Might be cool. Might not be, though, because I think we probably don't have enough varying depth here for that to really do what I want. Let's see. I'll turn this up as well. That was too much, wasn't it? adjust that scale curve a little bit. I think we might have to turn down the DOF a bit as well. Also, I'm not sure I like the really warped perspective anymore. And I was going to tweak that curve here. Other thing here. Let me look at my FBM. Okay, so hash will actually give us a thing in the right range. I'm actually going to replace these here. So we don't have to do a bunch of extra calculation because we don't need this to be in 3D. So we can just use biases instead. That helps our speed a bit. Should be able to do the same for this since I'm not actually using the vector part. Yeah, okay. Now we're fast again, yay. Okay, we definitely need to move farther from this if we're going to have that small depth of field. Actually, it's kind of nice getting the depth of field here already. The problem with this kind of depth of field, though, is that we don't really have any, like, we have stuff that's, like, we don't really have layers of depth in the image here, if that makes any sense. So doing this, we got to be a bit careful with it. But at this point, I mean, a lot of the, not motion that necessarily matches the other thing, but a lot of the bits are here now. But it needs more tweaking. This motion still feels pretty linear. May actually go back to the smooth step here. I might actually want to play with some camera angles here. See if we can get some kind of neat looking motion out of this. Trying to get that pen around it. I really kind of want like a slight up angle on this whole thing. And now the depth of field is really hurting the look here, because it's so shallow. I kind of lose any sense of scale with it. Also, the CSC is just way too large. What's our background color? Make that a lot brighter, I think. More of a sort of foggy look. Kind of tweak that. I just can't help myself sometimes. That's how you make a bad looking demo. So the other thing that this original motion had, other than like way better curves, is that it kind of staggered when these different things came in. So I'm going to do a couple things here. Let's do scale the time a little more so the whole cycle is slower. It's probably going to feel better anyway. And then I think we can kind of stagger the time here. So what we can do, we have anim time that we're using. Yeah, so right now we have a separate like scale, move, rotation for all this. We're going to calculate that per cube. And in fact, I want to use this I here. Do this. We're going to do replace anim time with this everywhere. Where else do we see it? I think that's all we use it here. So then I can adjust this outer cube time sort of per cube. And so we'll do saturate on this. And then if we do something like, let's say we just take Y actually. We'll take this times 3 minus Y. And we get this kind of staggered thing here. We can also do, we'll take I, do I here, then we need something like 27. Let's try that. You get it kind of breaking apart like that. Of course, now it's like everything is way too fast for this to look good at all. Hey, thanks for the host, Mr. Hex. But we can make this just work if we just scale this down more. And kind of fly off like that. I think they're not, like, now it kind of happens one after the other. And I want them to be more sort of staggered. Hey, Mr. Hex. Again, thanks for the host. So let's just not scale it there. And the issue this is kind of the problem here. We want to like what is the max I can be? 222. It's gonna be 8. And then we kind of have a 0 to 1 for the cube here. And so if we take like time times 2 plus this 0 to 1, or minus this 0 to 1, then I think that will get us more or less what we're after. Did not seem to, though. Let's try doing this, and then I'll bias this by that. And if we remove the center cube, don't do this in production code. It's a terrible way to get infinity. This is where the stuff always gets finicky, and I always have a hard time kind of going through this. So I think though it's just our scale's wrong here. It's going to be 18 plus 6. Okay, so it actually is going to get to 27 here. And perhaps that's our only real issue. Now our bias is too high. There it works. We can bring this back. And then it's kind of staggered in a much nicer way. However, our center cube scale we want to kind of stagger that as well. So I think I'm going to do this. Actually, we basically get the saturation from smooth step. If I remember correctly, I can do saturate here just in case. But if we basically do the same thing, I get something like that. Didn't really like that camera that I made, but we'll get the... Just put this back. So this is going to be, can't remember, mouse x times 2 minus 1 times 0.165. Let's see what that gives me. Yeah, that's wrong, because this should have been for the y. That'll do. Yeah, if I had wireframe stuff, this would be super far brush. Pop house. This is basically all I wanted to do. So we got there pretty quick. Now, last thing I probably am going to do here is add the rotation from the original, because it was kind of cool that it would rotate and then be self-similar again when it's finished doing that. I think it's basically simulating sort of camera rotation. at this kind of up angle here. But I can just do that by just rotating the scene. So we'll do... I'm just going to copy this. Or actually, I can just do it here. What did I do here? And that'll give us 2 times this, but we can kind of adjust this because it's a cube, so it won't, we don't have to rotate all the way around for it to be self-similar again. And in fact, it looks like it'll look better if we don't do that. Pi over 2 is a 90-degree rotation. That's as much as we need to do this before it's similar again. Cool. Of course, we can kind of rotate this as well, which is not the worst idea, to try and bring out the lights a little more. But overall, I'm fairly satisfied with this. Recreated the effect at least. Doesn't look great, and I think that mostly has to do with lighting and materials. The other one was really nice because it was so minimal. Maybe I'll do the same here, or try to mimic that a little bit. Although, to do the stuff with the different sides would be a little annoying, so maybe I'll just not. Zuckware, how does it look in reverse now? Something like that. Now I like the reverse better. But at this time, at this point, I can just do this again. That'll reverse the rotation as well, but that's fine. CPT Sparklers, it's a new Minecraft block loading screen. I don't know if I've seen the old one. So perhaps. I'm gonna move the lights away further as well. That'll probably help a lot here, actually. Why am I doing this without it moving? It's cooler when it moves, and I do this. Frag is fragment shader, but it says GLSL is the language. Really want to get more of those lights. That's kind of bugging me. I'll just do this, actually. Cheeky as hell, but it works. Crank the bloom, and then it's a demo. Yeah, having this volumetric would be cool. I think stronger vignette would be really nice here too. Grays are really touchy in HDR, but at least you could have the means to tweak them right. I think I have to do the, or do I have a control for that? I don't think I do. Yeah, I need to do the reason why I keep rewinding this, by the way, is that the engage music actually plays every time I use this. Every time it gets past a certain point, and it gets to be really loud and distracting over the other music I'm listening to. But yeah, the vignette is somewhere around here. Let's just turn this up. Okay. Get those corners to be darker. I think that's a bit nicer. And then is there anything with the grading I can tweak really quick? Sure there is. I'm kind of starting to like the Reinhardt operator. Doing stuff I like for some reason. Oh, that was really strong. I'm just gonna swap some components here. Something about that I kind of liked, the greenish. I love hate it. Anyway, this was kind of neat. I think this is as far as I wanted to take this. And it's already 9:30, so I'll probably call it quits here. But yeah, this is kind of fun. Next week I might do another one of these kind of things, because these patterns are pretty cool. And in particular, there was some 2D stuff that I might want to do in Rust, just to try it out, because I haven't done like 2D software stuff in ages. So I think that might be fun. Anyway, back to streaming on Thursday as well. This last week missing streaming, that was a one-time thing. So yeah, so back to streaming on Thursday and next week. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys, and I will see you later.